Become a RealCatholicTV.com premium member. It's all the news that isn't fit to print.
Calling for a coherent moral voice, one American cardinal goes on record to the Wall Street Journal. It looks like lunch with a same-sex couple has one Austrian cardinal looking like a cafeteria Catholic. We'll give you the details. And the New English Ordinariate welcomes an Episcopal convert. Those stories and more just ahead on Catholic News Roundup.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by PewSitter.com, your online Catholic newspaper for the third millennium, CatholicMediaCoalition.org, in line with the Church, online with the world.
And TheAmericanCatholic.com, politics and culture from a Catholic perspective.
Hello and welcome to today's edition of Catholic News Roundup. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Contraception Correction. The president of the American Bishops' Conference says that Catholic bishops have forfeited their chance to be a coherent moral voice when it comes to today's burning issue of contraception. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal's James Toronto, Timothy Cardinal Dolan says, quote, "We have gotten gun-shy in speaking with any amount of cogency on chastity and sexual morality," end quote. Dolan explains further that it all started in the 60s, quote, where Catholics in general got the impression that what the Second Vatican Council taught, first and foremost, is that we should be chums with the world, and that the best thing the Church can do is become more and more like everybody else, end quote. Pope Paul VI's Humanae Vitae was apparently the first flashpoint almost 50 years ago, stoking the fire of controversy by declaring the Church's teaching on contraception, leaving many bishops thinking, as Dolan put it, quote, "Whoa, we'd better never talk about that because it's just too hot to handle," end quote. Cardinal appears to approve. A German cardinal is allowing an active homosexual in a registered same-sex partnership to be a member of one of his parish councils, contradicting one of his priests in the process. Father Gerard Svierzik refused to allow an openly homosexual man to be a member of his parish council, but Christoph Cardinal Schönborn, Archbishop of Vienna, interfered with the priest's directive. The Archdiocese initially backed Father Svierzik, who said in a statement that one cannot be in an active homosexual, quote, partnership and be on the parish council. After having lunch with the homosexual couple over the issue, the Archbishop declared that he was impressed by them, and because Jesus himself first sees the, quote, human being in people, the homosexual, Florian Stengel, could keep his position on the parish council. Catholic campus invasion. Handing out free condoms on college campuses is doing the will of God, according to a, quote, unofficial pro-choice group infiltrating Catholic University campus. Co-founder of the group Catholic University Students for Choice, Kali Otto, says, quote, "We have learned from Catholic teachings the importance of caring for others and carrying out God's will. And in that mindset, we will continue our mission to promote sexual health and responsibility in our university community in the hopes that our university will end their war on women," end quote. Though the group calls itself unofficial, they are setting themselves up as a volunteer provider for NARAL Pro-Choice America, Planned Parenthood, and Feminist Majority Foundation. Their group gives rides to Planned Parenthood clinics for any reason, distributes condoms, and organizes events to entice Catholic University students into the cycle of sexual addiction that such organizations use to prey upon college kids. And, rather ominously, they say they will be making their way to a Catholic campus near you to do the same. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
Catholic News Roundup is brought to you in part by NewOxfordReview.org, the voice of Catholic Orthodoxy, in print and on the web, and RenewAmerica.com, expanding the influence of America's grassroots in the cause of freedom.
Axing Education Act. Families in Alberta, Canada are celebrating after fending off a bill that threatened government interference into how parents educate their kids. The proposed Education Act was voted down this week after conservative government members called an election and stipulated that curricula in all schools across the province, quote, must reflect the diverse nature and heritage of society in Alberta, end quote. Interpretation of the proposed law was very controversial, and Alberta's Department of Education originally insisted this meant that all educators, even homeschoolers, would be forced by law to teach their kids that homosexuality is a normal and even good thing. While the celebration continues, the Homeschool Legal Defense Association warns parents this legislation is most likely not dead forever. Cultivating Conversion. Catholic Ordinariate in England is welcoming another Episcopal convert as it brings into union with Rome the 6th former Anglican bishop since it has opened its doors. At the Personal Ordinariate of Our Lady of Walsingham at St. John's Cathedral in Portsmouth this week, Robert Mercer was ordained into the Catholic priesthood by the Auxiliary Bishop of Westminster, who also crossed over from the Church of England into union with Rome. Father Mercer is a native of Zimbabwe, known for standing up against apartheid in his homeland and for constantly seeking orthodoxy in his service to God, leaving the Anglican Communion after being a bishop for 11 years to join a Canadian arm of the traditional Anglican Communion. I'm Matthew McAuliffe. Thanks for tuning in today. Be sure and tune in tomorrow for your daily dose of Catholic News Roundup right here on RealCatholicTV.com. Also be sure to check out The Vortex, where Michael talks about this time of year as a test of faith. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to tell all your friends about us. And as always, God bless you.